Hello everybody, welcome back to Aubrey's Things. I'm so sorry for taking so long to actually update a podcast. From the time of my last podcast, I just started my winter break and I was moving about, so I didn't have enough time to actually sit down and do a podcast. And actually, I did finish my podcast before I went to California, which is where my vacation was. And then my computer couldn't handle it, and then the flash drive couldn't handle it. Basically, I ran into technological issues. So here I am now, continuing the Spirit series, though I'm starting from a different place than I was going to originally. Prior to this, the podcast I wanted to post had to do with spirit communications, and I'm still going to do that, but I wanted to just do a quick one that I'd been thinking about recently, especially as I've been reading The Lesser Key of Solomon. So if you guys aren't familiar with The Lesser Key of Solomon, it's a book that supposedly documents all of the spirits that King Solomon encountered. And the first part, called the Ars Goetia, which is translated to magic in Greek, details the demons that he encountered. And so as I'm reading this, I'm obviously expecting to find just very nasty, very evil spirits, because if you listen to my previous video, the big three that kind of talked about demons, from a Abrahamic religion perspective, demons are bad. And what I expected to read when I started reading the book. But the more I got into it, the more I realized that some of these spirits that are considered demons aren't necessarily bad. I feel like it's an association thing, that you can be morally good, but because if we're going by the biblical story of the fall, because you chose to side against the divine, you're considered a demon, and therefore you're considered bad. And before I continue, there's just so much of the Bible that we don't know. As I've said before on my blog and in real life, I believe in the Bible as a message, and I don't necessarily believe in it as a word for word, because it's just been interpreted. So I'm at the point where I'm thinking a lot about the story of the fall, and if the spirits that are considered demons are all bad. Now, rewind or fast forward into what I was talking about. Within the book The Lesser Key of Solomon, a lot of the demons, at least the ones I've read, are not bad. Some of them are good. Some of them cause love. Some of them have command over angels. Some of them give people knowledge of the liberal arts, etc. So we're not seeing evil spirits in here. We're just seeing normal spirits that, if going by the definition of a demon, just chose to not side with the divine. So I posed this question on my blog a while ago because I wanted to see what other people thought about it. What other users and practitioners and witches who work with spirits may think about demons. And so I'm just going to share a little bit of what I found, because I think they're really interesting and it's really worth listening to. So here I go. So something that I really liked was by Tumblr user Heretical Apothecary, and I'm just gonna read it because I can't really summarize it without leaving out important stuff. They said, in my experience, not all demons are evil. Some are, but not all of them. Honestly, a lot are pretty chill. There's also a difference between fallen angels and demons, but that's a different post. Demons tend to align with dark energy. Dark energy isn't inherently evil. It's a heavier sort of energy, and not everyone finds that it mixes with their own energy alignments. Likewise, angels tend to be aligned with light energy, which tends to feel brighter. Light isn't inherently good, and darkness isn't inherently bad. As such, I have met horrible angels. Horrible not because they're necessarily divine, but because they take being generally lawful beings way too far. They're willing to hurt and cause pain if they deem it lawful. So reading that, and thinking what I think, and if you didn't know, as I made my last podcast, what I've thought about the demonic has changed significantly. And that reading the book and learning more about them and being drawn towards learning about them and learning about occult knowledge, they just don't all stand out as these evil villainous characters. And I suppose at a point we do remember they were angels once, if we're going by the Abrahamic version of them. And as I said before, the fight or the fall, some say it was because of free will, others say it was because What would you say was forces, D?
I would say it's because they wanted free will, and that was all. Like, for those of y'all who are listening, you should read Paradise Lost, which basically goes into detail about angels wanting free will, specifically Lucifer wanting free will. Free will. So I think it was because of free will.
And that was a chemo for my sister. And regardless, yeah, if you look at it in the sense of them wanting free will, are they not like people? What makes us, if we're looking at it from a biblical sense? Humans have free will, spirits don't, or angels don't. Even in the Bible, Raphael, Gabriel all say we speak for God. And no, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I do. As much as I love demons, I love angels too. They're two of my favorite things to learn about. But it's just very interesting that the ones who teach the liberal arts, the ones who have their free will, the ones who fought against are demons and are bad. And I don't know, those are just some of my thoughts. Let me go look at some of the other things people have said. I'd also like to clarify for those of you who didn't hear my sister, she was talking about the book Paradise Lost, which is basically about the fall from Lucifer's perspective, right? Mm-hmm. It's about the fall from Lucifer's perspective, and we see that he fights because he wants free will. Now, I guess I could look at the Bible passage to see why he did what he did, but I think it's a really good book to read, at least how she describes it. I haven't read it yet. And let's just go read what other people said. So one of the other responses I want to read is by Tumblr user Hypomanic Satanic Panic. And they say, the sense I got from reading about demons is that they embody choice and are pretty chaotic, meaning they can choose to be helpful but aren't necessarily constructed by hard and fast self-imposed rules of conduct. So no, I don't think of demons as evil. Also, I think they'd be caught that by people who take the side of the Abrahamic God in all situations, which as a non-Christian I do not. And I agree with that, because I believe that it just gives another, wow, look at how human they are, kind of perspective to demons. And like the more I'm reading, and the more I'm getting different people's opinions, the more I'm seeing, again, they are good and bad. And to put them in a binary light of, oh, they're only bad, is very harmful, and I think a disservice to them as entities. And the last one I want to read is by Tumblr user Casey, May, and Friends, where they say, I am regularly visited by demons, and I have an analogy type thing for you. Demons are basically like humans in that it's a case-by-case basis. Some are completely evil pieces of shit like murderers and abusers. Others are actually pretty chill despite being a little dark. Like the rocker friend of yours who seems like a hard ass on the outside but is actually a cinnamon roll on the inside. These are kind of extremes, but this is the best way I can think to explain it. TBH, I'm sorry. And no, I agree. And as someone who does do spirit work to an extent, I have encountered a vast majority of spirits, and I've encountered non-demons who give me the heebie-jeebies, and I think it's just important to look at it like that. Not all spirits are, as I said before, binary. I mean, we have bad ghosts, we have complicated angels, and we have good demons. And that's basically all I wanted to cover. I'll be doing more videos like this as I get further and further into my research with the occult and just my opinions and my revelations. Below, I'll post some links to these conversations just in case you're interested and following along. And my question for you is, do you think demons are good, bad, or both? In the comments, tell me why. Next video I'll be posting will be the spirit communication, which is the one I originally intended to post, but it didn't go well. So yeah. So until next time, have a wonderful weekend, and I can't wait to see you back at Aubrey's Things.